first of all, what I'll do is show you the 2-leg version, and then I'll show you the variation that I'm doing, which is the single leg. So with 2 legs, I'm going to sit up against a bench. Now this is around 16 inches, I think, and it's a good height. Some steppers are lower than this and they're not as good, although it's fine as well, and you can try it out and see. I've also done these up against the sofa, where the seated part of it, and that usually works pretty well. So I'm going to have it around where my bra strap would be, and that means I'm getting a nice sort of hinge back, and I'm not too far down, I'm not too far back. So really what I'm doing is putting my feet a little bit wider than hips, so around shoulder width, and then I'm going to make sure that my whole foot is planted, and leaning back, I'm going to maintain some core tension as I just go up into a tabletop position, and this is the bridge obviously. Now, a couple of things that typically happen for people who haven't done this exercise is that they will not be able to get their hips up into this flat position, and this does happen, it comes with time. And the other thing that might happen is that on your way back down, you kind of leave your shoulders up here, and then you flare here and sort of splaying back, and really you end up kind of doing this. And what you want to do is kind of keep the tension at the front so that your head and neck follow, tap on the ground, and then you can drive back up again. That means that you're really just encouraging the movement to really happen from the hips, rather than kind of, you don't know where it's happening from. It's harder to gauge what's going on. So try not to use the elbows, digging them in either. I see a lot of people doing that. Just let yourself hinge. And if it's because this is uncomfortable, then use like a padded part or something to make it a bit softer. The other things that can happen is the foot position can actually, because I want to get like a fairly vertical shin when I'm up in this position. So that means it's hard to gauge, because when you're down here you don't know what angle that's going to be. But what you want to make sure you don't do is, if you're bringing them in too close, then your knees are going to be way forward, which is uncomfortable, and plus you can really feel that way more in the quads. And then the other thing is that if you put your feet far too far away, then it's not bad, but I've heard like a lot of people will feel that more in the hamstrings. So if you can get your foot underneath your knee as much as possible when you're in this position, then you're at a better sort of leverage for the exercise. And even if you're not doing it with weight, you still want to have that in place for when you're doing these. And that really covers the 2 legs. Now when you're bringing this into a single leg version, then your legs go from the wider position to narrower, so that your foot is basically in line with your hip, so that you're not as likely to kind of go off balance. You want to keep things up, both hips kind of up in alignment with each other. And that, with this leg, you can kind of keep it straight. I don't really like that because I find it uncomfortable, so I usually bend it up. And what you'll see me do on the other side is actually just put my foot over like this and rest it. And that, from the other side, I need a bit of stability added, and this gives my leg a little more stability, like so.